Just like the way they ended it, it was like, okay, why is this person over here and that person's over there, and why is this person missing and that person here? It's somehow I feel like they're not going to, because they didn't explain much in this season. So I feel like they're not going to explain much in the next season either. But I guess we'll see.
I think if you're going to write a story where you decide not to explain a lot, you should just go like full on explaining nothing, like John dies at the end or something like that type of story.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, it's like they showed. So anyway, we're talking about Umbrella Academy season 3. I found that it's not like it's getting bad, but it seems to be going downhill. Like, first season was the best one, the second one was a little worse, and the third one's a little worse.
Oh, this is what I was going to ask you, if you thought that was better or worse than the second one, since you kind of complained about the second one.
No. After watching the whole thing, I'd say it's a little bit worse. But it's not bad. It's just not as good as it was in the first 2 seasons. And the second wasn't as good as the first. But yeah, they showed like explained a few things that were confusing at first, and they showed some like, here's the origin of this thing that is mysterious, but they didn't really explain it, right? So it's like there's this mysterious portal, right? And they kind of show how it was discovered, but they don't explain what it is or where it came from or who created it or any of that. It was just like, it's just there, accept it, Like, I would have liked some sort of explanation. And they sort of, like I was saying before we went live, I was sort of like, they kind of, there's a thing that fixed everything and saved the universe, but they didn't really explain how did it work or where did it come from or what is it. It was just a Deus Ex Machina. Boom, everything's okay. Like what? Yeah. And they had way too much. I think her name is Allison, the black girl. She was just off her rocker the whole season. It was way too much of her. She was just like losing her mind the whole season.
Was she off her rocker in a way that made sense to the plot, or like for no reason at all?
Yeah, I mean, because she's the only one that has a child.
Mm.
And so she freaks out because of this thing with her child that I don't want to spoil. But
yeah, okay.
She just goes on and on and on about it. I'm like, okay, I don't care about this character because they haven't shown the character for like 2 seasons. And so I don't really care. And it's like, why is she losing her mind? Oh, yeah, I guess she's distraught about her child. But like,
yeah,
enough is enough.
And honestly, if you had a kid and the world was constantly ending, you think it'd be pretty easy to freak out anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it was believable, but it's just she's just becoming an obnoxious character.
Yeah.
It's like, enough about your baby, Jesus Christ. Like, I get that that's probably how you would react in real life, but on the show,
not the type
it's
of character
annoying.
I want to follow.
Yeah. And then, I guess she, well, yeah, like I said, it's a good show, so I want people to watch it. I don't want to spoil it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But, it has the potential to get better in season 4, maybe.
It just doesn't show the trend of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been. But I mean, like the ending of season 3 is an interesting cliffhanger. Of course, the end of season 2 is an interesting cliffhanger too, but I don't know. Each season has potential, I think, but
yeah,
they need to do better next season. At least they didn't spend a ton of time on Ellie. What was her name? On Elliot Page.
Yeah,
whatever her name was before.
Former Ellen Page.
Ellen Page, yeah. They kind of had, I'm a boy now. Oh, okay. Anyway, moving on. So that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very predictable though, because her name is Vanya.
Yeah,
her name was Vanya. I was like, how much you want to bet they're going to change it to Victor? Sure enough. Yep. Now she's Victor.
Because the only boy name anyone can think of that starts with a V.
Yeah, exactly. So,
can't be Vincent or Vance.
Vance
actually would have fit Vanya probably a bit more.
Yeah. It was a little funny that every time she had to explain this to a new character, they played the same piano music in the background of every single scene where she had to explain it. And I was like, that's the same piano song.
Yeah.
But then they got over it and moved on. And I was like, okay, good.
I'm sure it's not a big deal, especially with some of the crazy things that happen. It's like, it probably makes about as much sense as anything else in the show.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a guy that can speak to the dead and can come back to life whenever he's killed and stuff like that. So why not? It was kind of interesting. It's I feel like there was another show. I guess it was Heroes, maybe, where everyone has a power, right? A certain superpower. What they don't realize is there's like a secondary superpower that they have. They don't realize it until somebody helps them develop it. So I remember that happening in Heroes, because like the main guy, Peter, I think, in Heroes, he could basically borrow anyone's power.
Yeah.
but then when they left, he would lose it. But then they figured out later he could bring back up the powers that he had absorbed, stuff like that. Well, in this one, similarly, there's a character that can like talk to the dead and can like sort of summon them, and he sort of gains the power of the dead person.
Yeah,
or he's able to sort of temporarily bring them back to life, and then they can use their superpowers in real life. And in this one, he discovers he also has a secondary power, and that is that he can't die. That he is immortal. So
I don't remember much of Heroes, but I do remember all of Heroes arc, including the time travel shenanigans with the samurai. That was cool. I liked. I wanted more of that stuff.
Yeah, that was cool.
Or the show to come to an actual end and not what happened.
Yeah, and I liked. I forget the guy's name, the white guy that he met in ancient Japan or whatever, who basically he could heal from any injury.
And all of like the scrolls and everything actually had him painted as like this Japanese warrior, and you meet him in Japan. It's like, no, he's a gaijin. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And the only way he can defeat like hundreds of samurai is that they literally can't kill him.
Yep.
So he can just.
He wasn't that skilled or anything. He was like the Wolverine effect. It's like, he tried to kill me,
Yeah. Just like the cheerleader, she had the same power.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the Vomitorium, episode 155. As always, I'm your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. How you doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I took a
It's
shower.
good to hear.
Still haven't gotten a haircut, but at least I took a shower, so I was able to slick it back. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. All right, all things considered.
Find anything interesting in the Steam summer sale?
No. Well, I mean, there's some interesting things. I'm not purchasing anything, though, because I just spent a whole bunch of money on Final Fantasy 14. Like, no, that's my summer purchases. I'm fine. After that giant scanner, too, it's like, no, I'm good. I don't care how on sale anything is.
Yeah.
Plus, I've got like 300 games on Steam anyway. Like, I need to really be buying more.
Yeah, the only things that would be interesting to me I already own. So
Yeah.
I don't really see anything.
Like, I dropped a list of all the Final Fantasy games that were on sale. I look at the list and, like, I own 90% of this.
Yeah. I mean, there's a Switch sale as well. I guess I could maybe get Bravely Default 2. That's on sale.
That's a good game. It's on sale on both, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I own that.
I wish they would remaster Bravely Default 1 to be on any device that isn't the 3DS. I love the 3DS, but so many people haven't played that or Bravely Second because it's a 3DS only game.
Oh. Well, I wish they'd do that with Metroid Samus Returns.
And Kid Icarus Uprising. Both of those games need it.
Do I have those on Citra? Let me see.
Probably.
Yeah, I have Bravely Default. I don't have Bravely Second.
It's the most confusing title because they're trying to follow like the Final Fantasy titling. So like Bravely Default 2 is a completely separate game in the same way Final Fantasy 2 is. So instead, the actual sequel to the first Bravely Default is Bravely Second. So what are they going to do if they ever want to make a sequel for Bravely Default 2? They're going to call it Bravely Second 2? Bravely Secondly? Bravely Third? I don't know. It's confusing.
Bravely Default 2 Second.
Maybe. Bravely Default 2x2.
365 over 2 days.
Yeah.
Just gonna follow the Kingdom
Yeah,
Hearts naming.
65 over Bravely Default 2.
Yeah.
It's gonna start turning into like complex math formulas for you to figure out what game you're playing.
That's right. Oh boy.
Have you played Cubic Formula Bravely Default yet?
Nope.
Yeah.
Just the square root of 27 and a half.
Over Y
Yeah.
Bravely times 0 fault.
Default. Second.
Featuring Dante from Devil May Cry. Anyway, coolest story that happened. We were already talking about this beforehand. I think it's cool because, honestly, fuck cash whales. Diablo Immortal player uses $50,000 worth of WoW gold to absolutely flatten the cash whales in PvP. And I mean annihilating them in split seconds. How does he do it?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, somebody's coming in. I might have to leave for a second because of an emergency. Hold the line.
All right. I guess I'll talk about something else because I don't know that story. An amazing story. Although I've been watching Asmongold talk more and more about Diablo Immortal and the fact that it's going to be a funny story because, of course, Blizzard definitely doesn't want whales to be defeated by people who aren't spending money, because then they're just going to quit. And half the reason of, or most of the reason of spending all that money is so that you're unbeatable. So if there's a player that's not spending money and is beating them, that's something that they're going to, interestingly, probably going to take action about. Who knows? I don't know what they're going to do.
Okay.
Oh, there he's back.
Yeah. Problems with an elderly dog that's probably on her last leg.
Oh, shucks.
It happens. She's like, I don't even know how old she is, somewhere between 15 to 17 years old.
Well, I was just saying, Blizzard, I would think, would be concerned about this because they definitely don't want their whales to get defeated by somebody who's technically not spending any money.
Did you explain how he did it while I was gone?
No, I was going to wait for you.
Yeah,
You know better than me.
Yeah, so basically what he did is this guy who, at least in Diablo, is using the username, I want to say this is pronounced like the Latin, so Cabon. It's Naecabon. Has saved up like over 600 million gold in WoW over his like lifetime of playing or whatever, right? Like obviously he's used stuff for things in game, but he's just have this excess storage from playing, and took all of it and used Blizzard's balancing system. It's literally just called Blizzard Balance because they think there's just too much gold in the game. Not so much a problem in Classic, but in main WoW, especially for people who've been playing forever, there's just too much gold in the game. And they're like, here, using Blizzard Balance, you can transfer large amounts of gold into WoW tokens as a way of funneling it out, and we'll let you buy stuff off of the marketplace, the store. That's just like digital only products, basically to reward longtime players. And he took that 600 million gold, converted it all into WoW tokens, which apparently work in Diablo Immortal because it's the same digital store, and just bought everything he needed to unlock and fully upgrade 4 of the 5 legendary gems with their like resonance bonuses and everything, only stopping at the 5th one because of the inordinate cost of going for that 5th legendary gem. But still, $50,000 worth of purchases using those tokens.
Using gold farmed in World of Warcraft. They should advertise that
They should.
Hey, if you don't want to pay, you can farm gold in World of Warcraft, convert it.
Sure, I mean, they're a dying community.
Did Blizzard even know that this was a thing that was possible?
I don't know if they considered it. Like, they just lumped it all into the same store, probably thinking this was hunky-dory. Because I honestly don't think departments communicate with each other over at Activision Blizzard, so...
That's why I'm truly wondering if they even knew that this was going to be possible. So, since when could you buy WoW tokens with gold?
I'm trying to remember when that was added, when the whole Blizzard balance thing was done, because, like I said, there's just too much gold in the game.
Yeah.
I think it was before this last expansion. Like, it's been in there for a while, but most people just don't end up using the service because most people don't just have like a huge hoard of gold, right? There's a top 10% of players who have gold who have been playing consistently forever, to the point that even the things they do in game, they just don't end up spending all of their gold.
Yeah. You know what's amazing is that, at least from watching Asmongold,
yeah,
it seems like you have to spend a lot of time in the game too.
Yeah.
Because all you can do, you spend the equivalent of, I think, $22 to do a 5-minute run, and you're not guaranteed to get, super good materials. So you got to do that over and over and over and over. So not only do you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, but you got to spend hours and hours and hours farming.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
But think of this. If you're also a WoW player who's played enough WoW to have 600 million gold, you're probably the type of person that enjoys running those over and over again.
Yeah, probably.
I'm seeing like a very tight Venn diagram here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab a drink real quick.
No. But yeah, he's just been demolishing like the cash whales, or the people who've been spending like large sums of real world money. And honestly, as somebody who has literally no intent on playing the game, but also kind of hates it when people win just for spending a lot of real world money on stuff, it's satisfying to hear about this story.
Yeah, it's funny. I really do want to know if some of these guys who have been making videos and railing about it even realize, because most of them are, WoW players, and I don't think they realize that this is doable. They should try it. Say, we've found a way around the pay to win, sort of.
And this is actually, as I'm reading further, only available because Diablo came to PC, which means it runs off of the Battle.net system, which is why the WoW token balance can be used in the Immortal shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, I really do wonder if Blizzard even realized that this would be doable, possible, and whether they're going to change it now.
No.
It's interesting.
It's funny too. So apparently years ago, he had bought at like BlizzCons WoW loot codes that are for around $1,000, $2,000 in total, and the cards have been collecting dust for years. Fortunately, while they have little real-world value anymore due to predatory scammers, their in-game value has skyrocketed upwards of 800% due to changes in the game. And that's also because, back then, if you bought loot codes that had gold and other stuff in it, well, the gold's value in the game was a lot higher. Like an individual gold was worth maybe, I don't know, at one point it was worth way more than the US dollar. Like, you get like $100 per gold or some stupid thing like that. And there is this weird inflation system where older loot cards give you more gold so that they retain their value. Yeah. So this guy has just been sitting on I guess, a literal gold mine for years.
Yeah. I can imagine.
He even refers to himself as a necro whale because all of this is the equivalent of dead money.
Yeah. It's like nothing you can do with it in WoW anymore, right?
Yeah. Other than, translating it to gold, and what are you going to do with that gold? Like, honestly, what are you going to do with that much gold in WoW? Go and dead roll against some people until you get broke?
Is he going to play Dragonflight?
Yeah, probably not. Apparently, fans en masse are begging them to postpone or delay Dragonflight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if maybe people haven't really been paying too much attention to development. Maybe people think that development's going to be awful because of all the stuff that's going on right now. There's no way you could put out a good game with change of power. Though apparently not real change of power because Bobby Kotick's back. The board voted to have him stay around. But with everything going on, the acquisition stuff. Maybe people saw some of the trailers too that they put out and they just don't think it looks good. But the actual people planning to play the game have been asking them to delay the game to make it better.
Yeah, well, I think people were very surprised that it was, that it's coming out this year. And I think they think, probably correctly, that it's not enough time.
No, probably not. Plus, maybe they're also hoping that if they get bought out, the acquisition for Microsoft actually goes through all the way, that maybe there'll be some overhead that forces them to do things better. I wouldn't hold my breath on that, but they might hope, that might be part of it in there.
Yeah.
Still, I can't believe they decided to keep Kotick after everything.
Well, I wonder, in a way, I'm like, it's not. These people don't know. They don't know anything.
They don't.
Theoretically, at least with a good game studio, Blizzard used to be, it would be like, well, it's done. What do you want us to delay it for? If it's done, it's done. It's ready.
Well, even with a bad game studio, it's still the same people working on. What are they going to pull in outside help to go and improve the game? It's these people aren't going to make it any better than it already is.
Yeah. Yeah, but lately and with some studios, it's like we're going to set this arbitrary deadline.
Yeah,
and we're going to release it no matter what the state of it is.
Yeah, which you could have with a bad or good game studio, depending on the overhead producers, right? A producer could set a deadline that the studio has no control over. But also, let's just look at Blizzard in general, right? They are the producers. They can set their own deadline, everything like that. They could be a great or bad studio. If they decide that it's done, they decide that it's done. End of story.
Yeah.
You really think telling them to delay it's actually going to make the game better?
Yeah, but Blizzard used to be one of these studios that would never give a release date.
Well, they also used to be a garage studio at one point in time.
Yeah. And the same with, Origin used to never give release dates until they were acquired by Electronic Arts. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Ultimate 8 will be released on this date no matter whether it's done or not.
Yeah.
And it wasn't done.
I think they should follow the example of some of these older Japanese studios like Nintendo, even Sega, as much as people give Sega flack or like this, where they don't really they'll give you a release window, we're planning for it to come out around this year-ish, but they'll be fine pushing it back. They don't give you a firm release date until a quarter or two before it comes out. They know it's going to be ready because it's already in those finalized parts of the game.
Yeah, sometimes they don't tell you when it's coming out until a month before. Mm-hmm. And then it's basically done, and they're just making cartridges.
Yeah, a lot of times when it's just a month before too. Nintendo specifically, they like to have a big game each quarter, right? So I personally think, just from their track record and hearing interviews with some of their department heads, that their method is we hold off on letting the announcement until we know it's done, and then we'll announce it for the next quarter. If that means it's done a month before the next quarter and it's going to come out, then that's going to be a month. If it's done 2 quarters and they already have a big game for that quarter, then they'll let you know 2 quarters, like a whole semester early, because they don't want to overshadow the other big game they already have planned there. But they do it quarterly.
Yep.
Which is pretty good. I mean, if you know you have multiple franchises you have to juggle, you probably should be functioning in a way that you don't overshadow your own game and ruin your own sales. Like, that would be horrible. Blizzard, who's done this several times. I mean, think about it. They put out the playtest demo for both Overwatch 2 and Diablo Immortal at the same time. Yes, they're functionally different games on different platforms because they did not announce the PC version yet, but I feel like you're going to have much of the same player base that would be testing these games.
Yeah. Chad Middleton asks, did you guys hear about Disney owning the rights to make a live-action Dragon Ball movie or series?
Did not hear that. I don't know why they would, unless it was a recent purchase, because I can't think of, like... I don't think anybody actually has the movie rights anymore, because I think Toei stripped them back after Dragon Ball Evolution. Like, they actually went through what they needed to repeal the contract. But I mean, if they recently had purchased it within the last few years or whatever, then sure, I guess it's probably going to be awful. I can't see Disney making a good Dragon Ball movie.
Yeah, I've already seen at least one of the actors in the new One Piece live action, and
for Netflix.
Awful.
Yeah, that does look awful.
It's gonna be another Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. I think I don't know. The only way there's only a few studios that I think could actually do good live action, like anime adaptations or whatever. And they're not the ones that have been getting it, right? Like, I think Legendary Pictures, if they got like the right director, could probably do a good live action adaptation. They've been doing pretty good with a lot of the other properties. Like, you complain how much human face time was in the Godzilla movies, but go watch an actual Godzilla movie and watch how much human time there is compared to the monsters, and you realize it's about the same. Godzilla was done really well. Pacific Rim was a really good precursor to them getting the licenses for this stuff. They plan on doing a Gundam movie at some point in the future, and like, well, I mean, from what you've showed me, I'm kind of down to see what you got for it. And so I think Legendary could do it, depending who they work with. Even Warner might actually, because they partnered with Legendary. Look at Detective Pikachu. I thought that was a great adaptation of a video game / anime world, just the Pokemon world. It felt like all the stuff you've seen before. But I just don't see Disney doing it. I don't see Netflix doing it. Maybe Lionsgate, but they're really hit and miss these days. If this was like Lionsgate a decade and a half ago, I would be more hopeful for it, but maybe not these days. But very few studios could do it here in the West.
Mm-hmm.
You looking at something?
Yeah, sorry. I was looking at Microsoft adding the ability to report chats on private servers to Microsoft, so that they could potentially ban people from participating, from the game. So that's the thing.
I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I understand because they're private servers, so they're not Microsoft. But I'm assuming they're still running through Microsoft's games, so they are the one allowing these private servers to exist. It's a kind of a gray area.
Well, to me, I think the moderators of the private server should be able to decide whether or not they want certain people on their own server.
I agree.
and maybe be
Now,
able
if you
to report to
leave, yeah, if you leave like a room for the moderators to push a report to, Microsoft would be different than the individuals.
Yeah. I mean, if the owner of a server, can decide who can be on it or not.
Yeah.
And if they decide they want someone on it, who's Microsoft to decide? No, that person can't play the game at all anymore.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
something
That's the bigger problem, right? Like, because I could understand if this person is a menace, right? And the problem started on a private server. Maybe you push the complaint up, and they're not allowed to play in the public servers either. That'd be one thing, but that again should probably only affect public servers. You should still be able to jump on other people's private servers if they want to let you on.
Yeah, it's kind of like how you can get, like in a Discord, you can get banned from Discord for saying things on your own private Discord server, or on somebody else's private Discord server. Kind of feels like you're being spied on,
Oh, you definitely are. They like, I turned moderation as far down as you can for what is a community server, which the Vomitorium is like one of those public servers anybody can join. But like, actually, I think you can actually turn it off as long as you label yourself like a not safe for work server, which might have been what I did. But like, if you go on most servers, you can get like a little bot message without having bots installed. It's just one of the default Discord ones where you try to put something that's innocuous, but the bot registers some of the arrangement of pixels to somewhat look like a nipple, and they're like, sorry, this is inappropriate for you to be pushing. It's like, it's a picture of a dog. I think it's what's it, Clyde, I think is the name of the bot. Fuck you, Clyde.
That's why we need that's why I need like an internet bill of rights to say, if you're in a private, it's kind of like in a private phone call, like you don't expect the phone company to be listening in on your private phone calls. And saying,
I only expect the NSA.
Yeah, exactly. But shouldn't be able, Microsoft shouldn't be able to listen in on your private Minecraft chats on your private server.
Oh, while it came up in the chat, we should congratulate Cross Comics, who showed up in here, for his launching of the Canadian Shield #2, which I believe is also comes with snow, or it doesn't come with Snowdrift. He's putting both of them in the same like Indiegogo as options. Like you can get one or the other or both. Just a little shout out there. Piper was also his life ceremony. As long as Facebook's not lying to me, it was his life ceremony yesterday. So I don't know. He could put a fake date on Facebook. A lot of people do.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. What else I got up here? Oh, I'm upset a little. It's not as much as previously, but every single time I like a game, it'll last for a decent amount of time, but they won't give you like an offline version or anything like that because these are games as a service. They just shut it down on you, throw all your effort away. And Final Fantasy Record Keeper, after a good 7 years, is finally closing down. I liked Record Keeper. I thought Record Keeper was a good game. I thought it was a good way to get people into other games because basically all it was is you were this student at this like Christerium type thing who was studying the past, and he had to go into the records and make sure in like a Time Squad way that the records were kept straight. So you would go in with the other people, you would fight like scenes, bosses and stuff from the past, and you would unlock those characters just from doing their missions. It was actually one of the best gacha games because the only gacha element were the equipment for the characters. You just unlock the characters from doing their missions outright. You didn't have to pull them. I liked it. It was good. It was a good way of like quickly learning bits of the story from games that people hadn't played. It was a good little nostalgia trip for people like me who've played like every single Final Fantasy. But it's going away now.
You have until September.
Yeah.
Play it. Is it free?
It's a free-to-play game, yes.
Experience your favorite scenes from a new perspective. I know I've looked at this before.
And one of the things I liked about it, too, is it was modernized, color palettes and everything, but the entire graphics were based off of the pixel art from Final Fantasy VI. So even like all of your characters from the most modern games that are only in 3D have a Final Fantasy VI sprite style for them. And I think that would have been a good way to demake games. I don't want your remakes. You've already got the sprites. Give me a demake of your newer games, fucking Square. Record Keeper showed me you could do it. I've been playing it for years.
Yeah, they've got Lightning and Noctis and Squall
I have
and Yuta.
all of these people unlocked.
Oh my gosh, that's
They
cool.
even have the 14 people. Like I've got Y'shtola and Thancred and stuff unlocked too.
I don't see 14 on here. Oh yes, I do.
Yeah, it's there.
You stole
I've got
it.
'em.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I'm looking at a screenshot.
Yeah,
of it.
Urianger's there. Ida.
Garnet,
Papalymo. Yeah.
Yuffie, Tifa.
All the 9, all the 10. They've got a mix of
They're already designed.
heroes
Why
and
not?
villains. Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know what?
pretty cool.
They aren't complete sprite sheets. They only have the battle sprites, but it's not hard. You talk to me. I'm really good at working the system. I can make front-facing, back-facing walking sprites for them. I can finish out your whole sprite sheet. Let's demake these games, Square.
Yeah, they even have like the enemies, like the larger sprites for the enemies for like Sephiroth and
Yeah. Actually, the sprites are really cool in that game too. They move. They're layered sprites, so they actually have animations to them. No, it is not on Steam. It is only on like Android and iOS. But it was a fun game, and it's coming to an end. I'm not as upset about this as Mobius Final Fantasy, because that was like a very, very unique game. That experience you will only get from that, and it shut down. This is like replaying through the records, so it's like you're not really missing anything. You can go back and play those games, but it was still a fun experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why is it server only? I don't even understand why you can't play it offline.
I don't know. It's this whole game of a service model with all these things. They want them to be server only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if they're going to shut down the server, then
Just make an offline version.
yeah, surely they can update it so that you can at least. I mean, is it that they're like daily quests?
Yeah, there's
and
like
things like that?
well, there's login rewards and stuff like that. Yeah, that might give you like a daily thing. I don't care. You know what you do for the offline version? You just take away the daily rewards altogether and just turn the shop into Gil. Get rid of the premium currency. Just use the internal shop, because it doesn't matter at this point if you're shutting it down. It's like you're not making money off of it. Just make an offline version. I don't even care if you make me pay like a one-time $2 fee to continue playing the game. I'll buy the game from you.
Yeah. What's funny is that the company that made it is DNA, which I think did Pokemon Go. Is that right?
Niantic did Pokemon Go.
Oh, I thought was
DNA
DNA
might
they were
have
doing
helped
something
with it.
for Nintendo.
They've done a few things,
Yeah.
just in general.
DNA.
Yeah.
Oh, they did like Pokemon Masters EX.
Yeah, that was it. I've played that one.
I knew they a few years ago they announced some sort of strategic partnership with Nintendo. I just remember that. But
What was this other one? I'm looking at the Record Keeper. What other freaking games by them have I played? Mario Kart Tour. They did that one as well.
okay. There you go.
Yeah. I know I've played others. Oh, I've played this the Touhou game that they've done, which is just a turn-based RPG that only people who play Touhou would even care about. What if I played anything? I think that's it. I think those are the only 3 games they've made that I've played. But they worked on a Professor Layton game back in like 2011.
Yeah.
So they've been around for a while.
Well, they did Super Mario Run.
Oh, yeah, I did play that one too.
And Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. I knew they had done some sort of online.
And a few
stuff
Nintendo things. Yeah.
Need to get them to do Fantasy Life 2.
Yeah. Or sure, just make them do a Fantasy Life mobile game. That's fine. I don't care. They seem to like mobile games.
That's what they ended up doing for Fantasy Life 2, was do a mobile game that's
I didn't even
only.
know. Oh, it's apparently they just need to make it worldwide.
They need to make a Switch game.
They do. That's actually my only problem. Like, I don't mind these mobile games if you make them in such a way that they can become like solo games afterwards, because eventually they are going to shut these servers down. And that's even when I tell people about like War of the Visions, which I've been playing a lot. I always tell people not to get too emotionally invested in any of these games, even if you enjoy playing them, because at some point they will shut these servers down. That's why like I limit the amount of money that I can spend on them. I want to spend some because I enjoy the game, not because I feel like I need the stuff in it. Because with my RNG, I get everything I want without spending any money. But like I also don't want to spend like a fuck ton of money in this game, because it's not like I'm buying a game. Like I don't even want to pay $60 total over the lifetime of a mobile game, because it's not the same as like a game I own on a cartridge that I could play anytime. At some point in the future, this is just gone, and you'll never be able to play it again. Or, second option, let people create private servers, which can still let somebody run it as a service if you don't want to have to actually alter the code of the game. Because then, like, the server operator can just choose to give out daily rewards to people. Like, you don't even need money. They could just, like, send server gifts. Be like, here's 1,000 premium gems today, because we just fucking feel like it. I think this is the best way for archiving games that are service-based. Like, 2013, they did that with Final Fantasy XI. I think more MMOs should do that, where they put out like a dev pack where you can just run your own server and people can hop on and play it.
There's still official Final Fantasy XI servers, aren't there?
Yes, you can still play it officially. But like any service game at all, will eventually be unplayable if a private server package is not given out to people, or unless people basically jailbreak it and figure out a way of running their own private server by like reverse engineering the game from the client data.
Yeah.
It's sad. Anyway.
Well, I'm sorry.
Don't worry, it was the only Final Fantasy related news I had. Because I really don't want to talk about the stuff going on with the 11 anniversary. It's not bad, it's all interviews. There's nothing like interesting going on.
Yeah. Do you see Amaranth bought a 25% stake in an entire gas station franchise called Come and Go.
I am familiar with that franchise. I don't know where it is. I actually had
mostly in Oklahoma.
I have a hat for that somewhere in my belongings. Really? Yeah.
Should send her a picture of your hat. Wearing the hat.
Yeah, Buck gave it to me when his family went on a road trip, and I was watching their house for him. And when they came back, he just tossed this Come and Go hat at me, because they know I've always liked the name. I think the first time I saw it is the gas station was referenced in South Park. And I looked up to see if it was a real place, and sure enough, it was. I was like, oh man, that's cool. And they stopped at one, so he went and bought a hat and gave it to me.
Maybe it was just one location. She seems to be buying these huge locations because it's like, oh yeah, like the the Circle K that she bought before gets like 100,000 cars a year, and I'm like, the gas station down the street here doesn't get that many. I'm like, that must have been a huge location. So this might be just one very, very large location. Yeah, I guess so. It's 2 acres.
Strategic purchasing.
Yeah, 2 acres, 12 service pumps, and she only bought 25% of it for $8 million. So it must make a buttload of money. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like with the first one. It's going to make her money, but you need something that actually turns over a lot of money so that you don't just get fucked by taxes.
Yeah.
Right? And as somebody who otherwise makes most of their money off of internet media, which makes a lot of donations, makes a lot of money, but there isn't a lot of turnover, you just get fucked up the ass with taxes. So you need like an actual business to invest that money in, and with your returns, then you'll actually be making more than you're bleeding out. So yeah.
Anyway, I just saw that story.
Yeah, that's funny.
I wish I could buy a gas station.
I don't. Especially look at the way things are going. Maybe, I don't know, if you get like one of those hybrid stations, right? Because we're always going to need gas for a while, but there's too many people that are trying to switch to electric, and you kind of want to hit where people are going.
Yeah. Wow, Into the Breach. Remember that game?
Yeah, I saw it's coming back. Oh, I think I lost
with
you
an
for a
update
second.
or enhanced edition. I'm guessing you're gonna have to pay for it. Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Can you hear me now? Okay. Apparently, Into the Breach is coming out with it says a free advanced edition update. That is going to be, coming to all platforms. It includes new enemies, new weapons, new challenges. That's neat. I wonder if that means they're about to come out with a new game.
Yeah.
Or they're just trying to get people to buy their old game, or I don't know.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
It's a game I never played, but it looked really good.
Mm-hmm. I have it on the Switch. Pretty good. It's tricky. Very tricky strategic game. But yeah, I got that years ago. It was like one of the first games I got on the Switch, I think.
Yeah.
I'll just see what that's the only game they've made in the last 4 years. They don't have any other. Must be a small company.
Maybe, I don't know. I don't know too much about the background there.
Yeah.
I know from the few people I've known that played it, they all say really nice things about it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You can find it. Maybe it's on sale on Steam or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
But yeah, it's a cool little strategy game.
Check the Switch. There's been a lot of Switch sales lining up with the Steam sales, probably just because everybody knows that the Steam summer sales are going on, so you have to compete, and so everybody puts some random sales and stuff on different platforms.
Yeah. Oh, the company's headquarters in Shanghai, China. Never mind. Don't buy that.
It's an unfortunate place to be.
Yeah, that's a shame. I had no idea. Well, they made a good little game there.
Let's see.
You have anything non-Final Fantasy?
Oh, I have plenty of non-Final Fantasy. Here's a depressing thing, and people they were toting this, bragging. Amazon, that Alexa will have a voice feature that can imitate your dead loved ones. And I'm like, God, that is creepy as fuck. They're dead. Why would I want some robot imitating them?
Yeah.
And if like the quote is like, Alexa now feature could sound just like your beloved grandmother and convince you that you're not eating enough food. No, please stop.
That is weird and creepy.
Yeah. Like, I know this is kind of part of that same technology that they're using in general to, like, emulate people's voices, like, with speech recognition. The same stuff that movie companies like Paramount and Disney are going to be using very, very soon to just make you think actors that have been dead for a century are in current movies. But, like, I hate that too. I especially don't want it for somebody I know personally that is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Great technology.
You have to, like,
don't get me wrong. I think it's amazing that you can do this. Just don't.
Do you have to like record the person's voice or something?
Yeah, you have to be able to make like a voice bank to some degree. But apparently now like the AI is getting so good that the bank doesn't need to be that extensive.
Yeah.
A few home movies
extrapolate.
can do just wonders. And like I said, great technology. Just don't.
Really sketchy.
Yeah. And now if you want me to volunteer footage for artificial voices, perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just keep it away from the people, the loved ones, you know?
Do you tell it what to say, or does it come up with its own stuff like that Google AI?
Well, so here's one of the things where it's okay, I guess, right? Like they said you can use it for audiobooks. So instead of actually having to have somebody read several takes over and over and then go to the editing room and splice together these hundreds of takes into a functioning audiobook, the AI can just read something. And preferably if the person's still alive. I'd rather them be alive than dead, but it might be a decent way to remember somebody. A kid's grandparent could read them a book in that way. It's not the worst thing in the world. But you know, that's not what a lot of people are going to use it. They're going to use it to be overly attached to somebody who's not here anymore. Like, I actually don't think they have a malicious sentiment in mind. I think they see a potential sale, right? Like, this is a need that we can make money off of. And they're looking at it from, like, not how we can abuse people's bad desires. How can we get money off of people's wholesome desires? I don't even think they're thinking of the bad things that people will do with this. They're just thinking like, oh, kids, grandparents, books, perfect thing to sell to people.
Yeah. You know, people are going to put it in a sex robot or something.
Oh, God, yeah. You're going to be somebody who, like, really, really wants to get the own on somebody. So they're going to go online. They're going to find an image of their enemy's mom. They're going to find a voice file. And then they're going to make a sex robot that sounds and looks exactly like the person's mom. And then take an actual picture of them fucking their mom and be like, I fucked your mom last night. Like, they're going to take that old insult all the way to the extreme.
Mm-hmm.
It would be profiting off of somebody's grief in a way. But there are malicious and innocent ways to profit off of somebody's grief, right? Both of them, I mean, you could say, I wouldn't say malicious, malevolent, right? Both of them you could say is technically malicious because of intent, but the intent doesn't have to be malevolent, right? You could profit off of somebody trying to calm somebody's grief, or you can profit off of stirring up somebody's grief, which is what I think is more of what's going to happen, is that you're going to continue to let their grief linger for your profit, as opposed to, like, They said the having parents read a book at night, or grandparents read a book at night, or even have somebody's like mom, if she died in a car accident, read her a book at night, wouldn't be the end of the world for a little while. But it depends. You could make this grief linger forever and just make it worse because they never got over it.
That would not be good.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Sketchbook's question about Shredder's Revenge?
Let me reread it. I read it at the time, but we were in the middle of a subject. Do you think that the popularity of Shredder's Revenge will make other studios make new versions of old side-scroller beat-em-ups? Maybe. I don't know if Shredder's Revenge, I think, is actually already a byproduct of another game already being popular. I love IBC cream soda, by the way.
Yeah, cream soda. It's not a
IBC and their root beer is good too.
Could be.
Yeah. But I think the Shredder's Revenge thing is actually more of a byproduct of another series that's already kind of returned. The Kunio-kun or River City franchise has been going kind of strong for a little while. And I think that has shown people. Plus Scott Pilgrim coming back, which is not a retro game, but it's built like a retro game, has shown that people like these retro beat 'em ups. So even in Kunio-kun, we're going to get River City Stories, I think is the name of it, the Three Kingdoms one, where it's basically like a play where all the River City characters are going to be the Romance of the Three Kingdoms characters, and you're going to see it play out in a beat 'em up style. And people seeing that these games are popular, plus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1-Up machine did a really good job in the stores, means, yes, why would we not make a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game? Streets of Rage 2, what was it, 4, the recent one that came out, did okay. It didn't do as good as they wanted to, but it still showed that the series is popular. Like, a lot of people got it. I could see a lot of beat 'em up games maybe coming back if the companies are willing to make them.
Yeah, not to mention the fan game Rescue Palooza.
Yeah, Rescue Palooza definitely helped as well. Yeah.
I imagine they saw that. But yeah, it would be awesome to have, the Simpsons beat 'em up.
Yeah.
X-Men, a new X-Men one. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, and especially all of these 1-Up arcade games are doing really well. A lot of people are buying them for their houses. That specifically those ones, I could see them maybe coming back, assuming licenses line up. Now, here's a big problem with specifically both the X-Men and the Simpsons, is both of them were previously Century Fox properties that are now under the Disney banner. Right.
X-Men. Is
X-Men cartoon. Well, so yes, X-Men's Marvel in general, but like the cartoon, much like the movies, were produced under Century Fox. So now they are under the Disney banner. I don't know what they would do. Conflict between the actual company that they used to make the game back then versus who owns the licensing right now. A lot of these old things are in these weird license limbos that have to be sorted out before things actually happen.
Yeah. Well, did we talk about the, I know we talked briefly about the Pac-Mania game that just came out for Switch.
Yeah.
And the fact that it doesn't come with Ms. Pac-Man. Did we talk about why that is? Because I found out why that is.
I don't think we actually talked about why that is. Why?
The reason is that the license for Ms. Pac-Man is not owned by Bandai Namco.
Oh, that's
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
The original Ms. Pac-Man was designed by a third-party company. At least it's not fully owned.
Yeah.
It was designed by a third-party company that was trying to make a Pac-Man clone. Or that basically it was a company, and I can't remember the name offhand. It was a company that was making mod boards for Pac-Man. Right, because once Pac-Man started to get less popular, they just wanted to sell a board that would modify it and turn it into, a slightly different version of Pac-Man. Yeah. Well, it wasn't different enough, so obviously they were going to get sued. But Bandai Namco ended up buying this mod for it and changing it slightly, and it turned into Ms. Pac-Man. So every future, and they ended up having a contract with this third party company that basically every coin op that features Ms. Pac-Man, they had to pay a royalty to this company. And the contract also covered any electronic distribution of anything Ms. Pac-Man. So along comes, so this, and this contract was in like 1985 or something, or 83. So then along comes, do you remember when they came out with the coin op Ms. Pac-Man Galaga combo machines?
Yeah.
That like in 2015 or something like that? Those are really awesome. I want one. They came out with that, and they started, and I guess Bandai Namco and probably Midway. I think Midway is the distributor in the United States.
Well,
and
maybe it was. Midway is no longer around.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, anyway, however, Bandai Namco came out with this combo machine, and they started putting it, in places, selling it and everything.
Yeah.
The current owner of that third-party company sees it in a pizza place or something like that. And he's like, what the fuck? I didn't get the royalties. Well, it turned out Bandai Namco, this would have been 30 years later, just forgot. They're like, oh my God, we didn't even realize that we still have a contract. It's a perpetual contract with this third-party company. And they ended up having to pay
you have
royalties.
Change of hands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And something hasn't happened in a while. There's nobody to notify you, like, yeah, this contract's still there. They really just, for a game as popular as Ms. Pac-Man, that should just be framed on the office wall for the boardroom or whatever.
Right. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but 30 years later, they just didn't know that they still had this contract. So they ended up, I don't remember if they ended up paying them royalties or whatever, but they basically started to get into good negotiations with this third party company to say, can we just buy Ms. Pac-Man from you once and for all? But for some reason, that third party company ended up getting purchased completely by another company. So some other company in the United States bought them. And now it's like up in the air because I think Bandai was like, what the fuck? We were about to buy this company and now this other company bought the company. And so it's just all up in the air, and they can't put Ms. Pac-Man into their, they can't use it. And so if you notice, like for the last however many years, they just have not released anything with Ms. Pac-Man.
It must have happened in between like the first generation of 1-Up machines and now.
Yeah.
Because there is a Ms. Pac-Man 1-Up machine, but it was like one of the very first ones to come out.
Yeah, but they may have not initially paid royalties because that might have been when they had forgotten about their contract. But they've tried to like replace Ms. Pac-Man with other characters. There's like a Pac Girl and stuff like that and everything, but people are wondering like, where the hell is the original Ms. Pac-Man? Because that was an awesome game, but until they resolve this dispute, they can't. So that's why it was, and I don't know, because I think you mentioned that it was as DLC in a different version of Pac-Mania, something like that. I
don't remember saying that.
Somebody told me that.
Maybe somebody, because that's not information I would know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ms. Pac-Man was DLC for some prior Pac-Man museum game compilation, but it's not for this Nintendo Switch one. So I think in between is where they figured out that they have this problem. So it's a crazy, crazy story. It's like, wait a minute. Bandai Namco didn't actually create Ms. Pac-Man. That's insane. So anyway, that was a nice
that was crazy.
Sad story.
And it makes sense too. Just because like modifications to machines to make new games are just like an old history of the development of arcade machines. Donkey Kong was just a modification of Popeye. The Popeye machines weren't selling, and they were looking for a way that they could turn them around. And Miyamoto made Donkey Kong out of that, using a lot of the same mechanics of like Popeye would jump over girders, Mario would jump over girders, Bluto and Donkey Kong sprites were almost the same size and stuff. Like, this is just the history of arcade machines, and a lot of popular franchises have come out of people just changing old games into new games.
Yeah, and they didn't have like lockout chips or anything like
No.
that they later come up with for consoles, so that you could just like pop out a chip, reverse engineer it, pop in a different chip,
Yeah, it was also like very different too, because everything was assembly back then too. So you kind of had to know what you were doing. You couldn't just like in a modern game, it's like, oh, well, I could just use some type of compiling like program, and I can change like the sprites, or I can like change like if then statements so that events happen in a different. No, like you actually had to like move everything around, almost like you're making a game from scratch. You just got some things to work with there.
But apparently they were very easy to reverse engineer.
Yeah, well, they were also simpler games too.
So yeah, so maybe someday Ms. Pac-Man will return.
Maybe.
So not
Sometime in the
today.
future. When Bandai Namco takes over the world with their giant mechs. It's one possible future.
Indeed.
Let's see what else I got. Oh, you know what's actually funny? So, this has been like something that people know, but has never been confirmed until recently, right? It's like one of those things is like everybody knows it, but the proof just isn't actually there. And just recently, Yuji Naka, who worked on the Sonic the Hedgehog games, actually came out and confirmed that Michael Jackson did indeed write music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Right? Again, it's like one of those things, everybody knows this, but there's never been confirmation on it.
Huh.
Yeah. And it's like it's one of those things that people have kind of like known since, well, I mean, he's worked a lot with Sega. He was in Space Channel 5 later and stuff. But even like his estate for a long time denied that he did anything with Sonic the Hedgehog 3, or he wouldn't admit it, even though he's worked with Sega and was a fan of their games. But no, yeah, Yuji Naka came out and did confirm that Michael Jackson wrote music for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, kind of going in line with the fact that like a lot of the 3 soundtracks showed up in Sonic Origins and stuff like that. And so it's come out in interviews. And it's like the weirdest thing that it only feels like it's been confirmed now when it's something that everybody knows.
Well, how did everybody know it? How did everybody find out about it?
So it started out as a rumor in a magazine a really long time ago that kind of came out from an undisclosed interview. And it's just been building up since then. But like all the clues put together, especially when he worked with Sega on later stuff like Space Channel 5, where he literally voiced himself as Space Michael. And it's just like one of those things, it's like, I don't know if I ever needed confirmation on this because it felt like I already had it.
Yeah. Well, it's weird that they didn't just say, "Oh yeah, he did that."
Yeah,
Like,
he's
did
even
they think
he posted a picture that he took with his own camera when he went to Michael's house out in the middle of the desert. They flew via helicopter. They actually recorded the music at Michael Jackson's personal studio. Yeah, he's got proof of it too. It's like, but I didn't really need the proof. We already knew this. It's cool. I like your photo because it's kind of like it's a neat piece of history.
Yeah. I wonder if they thought it would be a bad look or would hurt his image somehow.
I don't know, maybe.
It's weird.
But I mean, he did so. Even like I think Sega was the one who did the Moonwalker game too, with Michael Jackson. Like they did so much stuff. I don't understand specifically why they tried to deny the Sonic 3 music for that long. He's not even credited in the game either. No.
Weird. Well, finally, it's like the JFK Zapruder tapes. It's like
Yeah.
now that everyone's dead, we can finally confirm.
Pretty much. That's what it feels like. But we know he's not actually dead.
Oh yeah.
No, he's frozen because like 500 years in the future, he's got to be on Space Channel 5 after he saves the Earth, you know.
Is he frozen right next to Elvis Presley and Walt Disney?
Because that was the story. Michael Jackson saved the Earth.
Mm.
Yeah. The least expected person to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and weirdly, I don't even know why you would want to say this. Chris Pratt declares that his Mario voice is unlike anything you've ever heard in Mario before. I was like, that's not a reassuring thing because I'd want it to be like something I've already heard. It's called Mario.
Yeah, that's disturbing.
Yeah. Now, if you said it's unlike anything you've ever heard from me before, it's like, okay, maybe that means you're trying to sound more like Mario. But this is not a very reassuring thing to hear.
Yeah, does that mean the movie's going to be unlike
I already thought so, looking at most of the cast that was in it and the studio making it. I would assume it's going to be very much unlike what we know from Mario.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
They could like take any given game and just make it into a movie.
That's kind of what they do in general. Like if you look at almost all video game movies, very few of them actually try to stick to the plot.
Yeah. Why don't they?
Well, it's because of Hollywood's opinion of the average audience. I actually don't have the article up in front of me. It was one we were possibly going to cover last time. But there was an interview explaining why video game movies aren't good. And part of it is they do not think that the audience would like it. Straight up, if you just made a movie like the game. They don't think the average like American audience would enjoy a video game story in the movie with the exact characters and everything. Which I think is stupid when a lot of, especially the modern games, most of these modern games are basically movies anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, like that goddamn Mortal Kombat movie. Why did they have to come up with a new character?
I don't know.
There are 50 trillion Mortal Kombat characters. Pick one
I
to
like
be the
the
lead.
original movie. I thought the original movie was pretty good for as cheesy it was. It basically follows the plot to the for the most part. Is freaking world's gonna end. There's a tournament. A bunch of people go into it to become the champion of the planet. Boom. Was there a lot of bullshit in it too? But I mean, how much story was in the original Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet?
Yeah. Wasn't even Johnny Cage in this latest one.
Yeah. Yeah, yet the average American is playing the games. Yeah, that's the funny part is more people play video games than watch movies these days.
Yeah. Who's playing Luigi in this movie?
Oh, that's Charlie Day
Oh, right.
from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Who's got kind of a croaky voice. I thought he would have been a better Toad, but Keegan-Michael Key is playing Toad. God, the whole cast is just like, even for the people they have, a lot of them just seem like they're on the wrong role. Like if you had to work with this casting, a lot of them just seem like the wrong role. I wouldn't want Seth Rogen in the movie at all if I had the choice. But between him and Jack Black, I would rather reverse their roles because Jack Black is kind of energetic and monkey-like and would probably be better on Donkey Kong. And Seth Rogen's voice sounds like charcoal, so he'd be better on the big lizard that shoots flames out of his mouth.
Yeah, that's really strange.
Yeah,
So there's a Donkey Kong and a Bowser in this movie?
Yes. There's Mario, Peach, Luigi, Bowser, Cranky Kong, Kamek, Spike, Toad, Donkey Kong, and Charles Martinet as surprise cameos. when he should
As
be
the real
voicing
Mario.
half of the cast.
Yeah, really. So when is it coming out? Because it says the movie was mostly finished last November.
It's slated for April of 2023.
Why such a long time?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't understand anything about this movie. Why did it need to be made?
Oh no. They should have just spent the money on making a better new Mario game.
Yeah, and it's like, I've seen a lot of people say, at least it can't be as bad as the live action movie. And I'm like, bullshit. The live action movie has a certain charm to it, and most of the problems with it has the excuses of it being live action, so you can't actually just work with the normal voices because they don't look like the characters, and you can't have even the same person running around playing every single character necessarily, unless it's like an Eddie Murphy movie. And also the time, right? There was little is known about Mario. Like, there are very, very few actual story points in the manuals of the game. And most people weren't playing video games compared to watching movies like they are now. But now, like, budget, technology, established lore and stuff like that, like, you don't have the excuses with a modern one that the live-action Mario movie had back then. So you don't get the charm that movie had.
It's funny, it's hard to remember the timeline, but that movie had to have come out after Super Mario World. Right?
Probably because World was like, what, 91, I think? It came out with the Super Nintendo, and I think this movie was 93, so it did come out after. It had Yoshi in it.
Yeah. I was trying to think, when did they add Yoshi? But it wasn't until the SNES.
Technically, Yoshi existed before that, because there was a Yoshi puzzle game before he was actually put into the Mario world.
Oh.
Yeah. It was called Yoshi, and then there was a sequel called Yoshi's Cookie. And then he was added in to Mario universe in Super Mario World.
Yeah.
As a tiny little raptor. It was actually closer, aside from the big head, it was closer to being like a velociraptor than the velociraptors in Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Yeah, it was smaller.
Yeah, it was about the right size. Still a huge head. He looked like a tiny T-Rex. But I guess Yoshi kind of looks like a tiny T-Rex, so that fits. Tiny, bubbly little Barney T-Rex.
Yeah.
Though he would still be a lot bigger than that because Yoshi's taller than Mario. I think Yoshi is like a 6-foot dinosaur. It's like riding a chocobo almost. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is everyone okay on your end there?
Oh no, that's I tried to mute, but it wasn't fast enough. My mom has sciatic problems. There's nothing that can be done about that.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. Well, can't find much else except Fire Emblem Warriors came out today or yesterday.
Oh, whoa! Three Hopes. Made after our favorite Fire Emblem game, Three Houses.
I watched some gameplay footage. It looks pretty cool, but my problem with the Warriors games is that, except like, if I don't have any connection to any of the characters, I don't really have any desire to play the game. You know, I like Hyrule Warriors because I like Zelda.
Yeah.
I don't have any desire to play Fire Emblem Warriors. It's just more of the same, it seems like.
It's pretty much the whole Musou franchise has been like that from the beginning. You go like way back to Dynasty Warriors. It's basically just them telling the romance of the Three Kingdoms over and over and over again. And people just liked the gameplay, so they kept making it. And it just got incrementally better, but it's basically the same game. And it got so popular they started making other franchises, like with like Gundam Warriors, where you do the same thing, but you're a Gundam tearing through armies, which it makes sense because that's what they do in Gundam. So it was a pretty fitting franchise to do that. And then like everything, there's Dragon Quest has their own version of Warriors, sort of. The Dragon Quest Heroes is somewhat based on the Warriors thing, but it's toned back to fit more of the Dragon Quest scale of stuff. Zelda now has its own Warriors game. That's not toned back though. That's like straight up just as many mobs as you would fight in a normal Warriors game. Everything's got a Warriors game now. Fire Emblem has Warriors game.
Yep. There's going to be a new Ghostbusters game.
Oh, is there?
Apparently, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed.
I think I heard about that.
Releasing this year for PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
You heard about that, or I heard about them making a new cartoon. I can't remember what I actually heard about that. There's a lot of Ghostbusters news running around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I heard something about a new cartoon too, but no, this is the game. It looks like it's similar to that last Ghostbusters game.
Last Ghostbusters game was good. It was more of a Ghostbusters 3 than anybody's ever going to get. It actually had mostly the plot of what they planned for the third Ghostbusters. So,
yeah, when I first saw this, I thought maybe it was like DLC or an update to that one, but no, it's apparently a whole new game.
And funnily, because we always joke that Luigi's Mansion was just Ghostbusters for Mario, the Ghostbusters game kind of plays like Luigi's Mansion. It doesn't necessarily look like it, but when you actually go down to the controls, it's basically the same controls as playing Luigi's Mansion, like pulling back to reel them in and everything. And I think, well, it makes sense. They're the same type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you might as well have a poltergust on your back and suck it in.
But it's a good game. So if this just uses the same format and continues and has good writing, I'm down for it. Give me more good games.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen much about it, just screenshots. I haven't even seen like gameplay yet. Oh, wait, maybe there is some gameplay here. Oh, well, we have a minute. Do you want to watch this?
Sure.
There's some gameplay here. Stop, YouTube. All right. Slow it down a bit.
Okay, it's up. What we got? I like the aesthetic so far. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like you're in a haunted prison of some sort.
Well, also doesn't look like overly realistic, right? Like realistic proportions, but the environment seems stylized, and I like that. It actually looks, like you're saying, like the old game, which was very stylized.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of those Take-Two games, like the Back to the Future game. And
yeah.
So I don't know when something's going to happen. Oh, there we go.
We've got something that kind of looks like a bubbly purple Slimer.
Yeah, that's haunting various furniture. It looks like. Oh, we split up into like 6.
No, what I'm hoping, because this doesn't look like a player view, that this is for the sake of showing off the game some dev camera that's been put in there.
Yeah, I think so, because I think it's like
hope it has
person.
Oh, is it first person? Well, I was hoping it was third person like the last game.
Well, yeah, over the shoulder, yeah.
Yeah, over the shoulder. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Over the shoulder is fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess this is kind of an early scene, because this is the only scene that I've seen screenshots for, so I don't think they've released very much.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a first-person Ghostbusters game either, but I think I would just prefer over the shoulder.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much you want to zoom your camera in, I guess.
Yeah.
But, oh, there it is again. multiple eyes and what is it doing? It's just spewing slime everywhere.
Yeah.
Are they going to show it getting
purple
trapped?
ectoplasm.
A little bit. Yeah, it looks similar to the original or the last one where characters could get sort of, downed and you had to help them out if they got hit too many times and that sort of thing. Now he's inhabiting a wheelchair.
Which I like that, looking for possessed objects to try to find the ghost. I like the idea of having to actually find the ghost, which even the last game did a lot.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion did that too, like Boos could be hiding in things, you have to snuff them out. I think that's a good ghost hunting protocol for a very active game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, see, now it's kind of switched to a first-person view. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have different camera angles you can do. There we go.
Maybe. Yeah.
So he's trapping him. So that's kind of interesting. Apparently that is all that they have released for this.
Yeah, so what this makes me think, though, and I hope this isn't the case, right? But that may not have been a dev camera. That might have been a downed player camera. Because this might have like a Left 4 Dead style setup, and this might be mission oriented, right? Focusing on like online multiplayer and stuff like that. It wouldn't be the end of the world. I just kind of like those single player games. Like what I would prefer is if you played one of the guys, right, and the others were AI for most of it, but you know, 4 people could get together or whatever and play the whole team if they wanted to.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me see in the story.
We don't really have enough to really go off of yet, I think. So
yeah, they've not really said anything about it. I mean, I've really only just heard about it this week for the first time. It says there's a lot of open spaces. Yeah, they're not really.
Yeah,
they're keeping tight-lipped about it.
I don't know if I want a lot of open spaces. Like, I mean, I want a lot of spaces. I want like a mixture of confined and open spaces because that makes the thrill of a ghost hunt better. You know, like maybe you need to get out of this hallway before you can actually wrangle it properly, or you know.
Yeah, it's by a developer I've never heard of called Illphonic.
Yeah.
Oh, it does say it is a asymmetrical multiplayer game.
Oh, okay. I'm already not interested. It's like Evolve or like Dead by Daylight or whatever, where somebody's going to be playing the ghost and the other people are going to be playing the people.
Oh, really?
That's what an asymmetrical multiplayer game is. I've already lost all interest, and it kind of looked like that too. I just wasn't sure if it was mission based and the ghosts were all AI, or if somebody was going to be playing it. But yeah, this is just going to be what's Dead by Daylight is the name of it, right? Where somebody plays as the horror monster and the other people play as the people trying to escape. Except in this one, instead of being basically powerless, aside from like some traps and trying to get generators up, you're actually Ghostbusters. So it's probably gonna be more fun than Dead by Daylight. But I think it's probably gonna end up balanced like Evolve, where the players are too strong by comparison, and they keep having to make stronger and stronger ghosts with like a power creep to where like there's no point in playing the ones at the beginning of the game anymore.
Yeah. Now it makes more sense because apparently Illphonic was the development studio behind Friday the 13th, the game.
Oh, yeah, now that makes sense too.
Now that makes perfect sense.
Yep. I don't know. I'll still hold my breath on this a little bit. It might be more fun, but I remember I think Evolve was the first one I ever played. It was like the first big one on the market, and I was in like I think the closed technical test or the alpha for Evolve. I played it in the closed beta. I stopped before the open one and before the game went public, like full public release. I didn't like it. I tried both sides. Really only enjoyed playing the people, the hunters, because as much as you felt like strong being the monster, when you actually broke it down on like a technical side, the odds were stacked extremely against you anytime you weren't in the party of 4, right?
Yeah.
But you were more reliable being the monster because it's like you don't have to carry the other players. Like it's just you.
Yeah.
So you could get lucky. You could get a team of bad players that you can abuse. But if everybody was the same skill, the monster theoretically should lose every single time, just because of poor balance. And it's just what happens. You can't really balance a game like that very well.
Well, I find Dead by Daylight pretty well balanced for the most part. But usually I'm watching people who are fairly skilled.
Yeah.
So even when they play the monster, they're able to win occasionally. You know, they're able to win at least half the time, not more. So,
yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So it's not going to be like story driven, like the other one. Darn it.
Yeah. Sad.
Oh well. Go watch Afterlife. It's good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the show.
Yep.
This was an okay note to end on. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy the show, please share it with somebody else who might enjoy it. And if you really enjoy the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. Really helps us out every month with the hosting fees and other things. In the meantime, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
See ya.